Hey ZJ, as you may see, I am a juggalo, and if you've seen any of my other videos, you should also know that I am an atheist. Now, I'm not sure if any juggalos have cussed you out or anything like that. I could see that happening. Honestly, I do not like it when that happens, and I'll be straight, I do not like that when people would cuss somebody out. It just makes us look worse, if you ask me. But, people are going to be people, humans are humans, and a lot of juggalos, yeah, some of them aren't as educated. And we accept them for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people, whether our level of education is high or low, we accept people for who they are. But the topic of juggalos isn't the one to speak about. I know that you're not speaking bad about juggalos per se. You said that it's not limited to juggalos, so it's not really about juggalos, it's about ICP themselves and the song. And when I heard that line, Shaggy said, I'm an atheist, like I said. And when I heard that line by Shaggy, I don't want to talk to a scientist and saying, y'all mother effers lying and getting me pissed. I thought about that. The thing about ICP is they say things a lot more blatantly than they actually mean. Case in point is what I think was really meant by that, and correct me if I'm wrong, they were saying, yeah, they're lying. They're lying and getting him pissed. Now, now what I think he's really meaning by that is science, at least what's being expressed here, is that science only goes so far. Science can explain certain things. You know, science, yeah, it tells us how things work. But what it doesn't tell us is how amazing something is. What science doesn't always tell us is what we see, what we feel when we look at nature. Do we feel that because of a rational scientific explanation, or do we feel that sense of awe? And I think what they're saying is that can only be described as a miracle. And yeah, so I really don't think that they're trying to be anti-intellectual. I simply think that they're saying that there's something beyond that rational intellect, something beyond just understanding how something works in a scientific way. For example, when he says effing magnets, how do they work? And to be honest, me and my friends make fun of that all the time. Like, we make fun of the song, and you know, like most the ones I joke about it with aren't juggalos, but I see what's funny about it. But the thing is, when they know how magnets work. It's not like they don't know how a magnet works. Yeah, they're not the smartest guys. They're freaking high school dropouts. And I don't think they pretend to be either. They'll admit it. They're not the smartest guys. But when they say how do magnets work, I think what they mean by that is you take a magnet and it goes to it. We can understand, the positive and negative attractions and the way that the electrons work together. But what they're talking about is, look at that. Isn't that so cool how a magnet can do that? Isn't that a miracle? Yeah, we know how it works, but how does it really work? Why does it work that way? So really what it's not saying is, yeah, we understand how a magnet works, but there is wonder in that. It's still, we can understand it or not, and it still astounds us. And it should astound us, and I think we forget about it. We think about it just as, oh, a magnet going that. But how does that really happen? Why does that happen? And we understand that. But if we don't start asking those questions, and we can see it and be like, dang, that's cool. I think what they're trying to say is that life itself, this world we live in, is a miracle. And like you said, that is a positive message. But I think you're misunderstanding them when you're trying to say that it's anti-intellectual or pro-ignorance or pro-stupidity. I really just think that what they're trying to say is science can't always, like, it can provide an explanation, but science can't explain that feeling of awe. Science isn't enough, you know, to explain that feeling you get. Maybe it could go into the neurology of it and the way the brain affects your body when you vision something that is out of the ordinary. But the feeling, the wonder in it, is beyond science. And I think that's really what they're trying to say. That, yeah. You know, I wouldn't agree with their line about what they said about, that scientists lie. But I do think that there is some cases in which scientists have lied, There have been cases of that. I really don't think that it's always what happens. But let's take a look at some of their stances, for example. They're pro-weed. And I think they feel like a lot of people are trying to skew the evidence, trying to make the evidence go one way or another on something like weed. They try to make the evidence go how they want it to go. And if you see some of the demonization of marijuana, you can see that that's very clear, that a lot of times anti-marijuana propaganda will, they'll have scientists speaking out against it, but it'll be completely biased and completely one-sided. And it might even attempt to be two-sided, but it's not. It's really not. And so this sort of thing, I think, is what they're more talking about than anything. And they don't like it when scientists try to make things seem like it's one way, seem like what they want it to be. And when scientists, at least, I think that's the one issue, and that's something that, Violent J likes to smoke blunts. And so when you see the world, at least from, I think, the perspective they have, is it seems like to them they're very rebellious against people, sometimes of high intellect, thinking they're better than them. And so I think that's where some of the anger comes from. But I don't think what they're saying is anything along the lines of, we should not have an understanding of this. And, there's no way to really know unless you have an interview with them. But from what I know about ICP, about listening to their music, and, about some of their explanations, is they're admittedly ignorant. They're admittedly, they talk about things from a very, what they see perspective. And they're also very abrasive. So when they say, these scientists, I don't want to talk to a scientist, those liars, I think more than anything, they're being abrasive rather than saying scientists don't understand this, it's all just a miracle, there's no scientific rational explanation. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is that a scientist can't explain why it's so wonderful or why it's so amazing using rational thought. There's something beyond rationality. And I think it can be compared to when you talk about the romanticism versus rationalism. I think that ICP in this case is supporting romanticism and, saying that and speaking out almost against rationalism in its purest sense, and trying to support a romantic view of the world. So, this is Spike here. I hope I helped you understand. If you'd like to talk to me, or if anyone wants to talk to me, you can. And any juggalos watching this, there's no need to do any bashing. I know that she's not, or he, sorry, is not doing anything to try to offend anybody or anything like that. So, I don't want to see any bashing, to be honest. That's just all I gotta say on that. I'd like to see some responses from other juggalos explaining this, but yeah. Alright, Spike here. Peace out, y'all.